Well, here we are.
Yep.
Book Club round 2. So we just had Book Club, our very first Book Club, which this was actually an idea you had, right?
Well, we had it. Yes, we were at Lake Powell. We were all on the top of the houseboat, not paying attention to where we were going because we made that wrong turn.
Right.
It took an extra hour. Best wrong turn of our lives.
Honestly, though, I'd do it again.
And we were just sitting up on top of the houseboat, and I thought about mixing rounds up just a little bit. What could we do that would be different? I thought we should read a book every quarter.
Yeah.
And then it was like, yeah. And then we did it today, which I thought was kind of fun.
And it went awesome. And I love book clubs.
Yeah.
Love a good book club.
I was jealous. I was like, well, let's just do one ourselves.
I know, let's do one ourselves. My favorite part about book club is you're picking up a book that you know your whole community is picking up. Mm-hmm. And when you're reading it, it's not only for you, but you're thinking, what are the people in the room going to think? And how can I really find value in this book and contribute not only to myself, but to the room and the conversation? And I don't know, I feel like every book that I read for book club, I get into a little deeper.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a little bit more deep work on a book, which is really fun.
And how many neurosurgical, orthopedic surgical practices have a book club? They have journal club.
One maybe.
Which is great.
Yeah.
But this was pulling from other sources of learning.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about, I was great this morning, and I think it's going to be fun to just have a book that everybody's reading every quarter, and then we come and discuss it and then do the next book.
I love it. And book club is more than the 30-minute discussion that happened today, right? I mean, it was the culmination of many conversations that all of us have been having for months now. I mean, a lot of us have either slowly read the book or read it a while ago, or, maybe just finished it. But I've had countless conversations now with people in and out of that room about this book now. And I think that's the funnest part about a book club is, again, it's that community aspect. You have something meaningful and thought-provoking to really talk about with the people that you care about, which is cool.
Scott, Perry, and Cooper and Tim and I were sitting between cases at lunch a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about deep work during our lunch conversation. So these conversations could spill out in hours outside of just our formal book club discussion because we're all reading the same book.
I love it. And it really, this concept that we're talking about is really what this book is about, right? Deep work is the idea that we're removing distractions from our everyday life to dive deeper into the work that we're doing to master a craft and find fulfillment. And I think that fulfillment aspect of deep work is really where this concept to me shines. And to have communities that are having conversations and deep conversations about these ideas is fulfilling. And I think that's just so fun.
Superficial work is not that fulfilling.
No.
It's kind of like junk food's not that fulfilling.
Yeah.
My wife and I did a trip this weekend, and we got a big breakfast, and then we didn't eat at all during the day. We were busy hiking and everything, and we sat down at a really nice restaurant and had a dinner, and the food just was out of this world. That's
awesome.
The sort of the same parallel idea, right? You focus in on what you're doing in the moment, and that's what you're focused on. And there's so much more satisfaction in that than just grazing all of the time.
Right. And you graze when you don't have a plan, right? We create busyness, or we function at a lower rate if we don't have a plan of attack. And that was one of the concepts of the book, is create a plan, have your day organized, understand what's important to you, and go out and do it. Stick to that schedule, have a schedule, stick to it, and make sure that you're doing the things that you said you were going to do. And things change when you don't procrastinate, and when you have that meaningful work that you agreed to do, and then you do it, which is really cool.
Another thing is you can't do deep work every minute of every day.
No.
You can do it for a few hours a day.
Right.
So he talks about working super hard and then having no problem being bored or just listening to a Nationals game unfold slowly on the radio, is what he says.
Right.
And when we were on the trip this weekend, I left my phone in the hotel. My wife and I took Ella on a long walk, probably 2 or 3 hours. And I didn't do anything but just be present, talk to her, let my mind kind of wander. Mm-hmm. And being focused in the moment and working hard, and deep work is hard. And then it allows you to just also be able to disconnect and have that unfocused, wandering downtime that allows you to be that much sharper when you come back to work the next day.
Oh, absolutely. There's two concepts there that I really love that you touched on. One, I teach yoga, right? You know, I've taught for, it's been over 7, almost 8 years. And when I have new people come into my class, I can see sometimes in an hour and a half class, they start looking nervous because they're getting bored. And I say, sink into your boredom. Enjoy your boredom. This is a beautiful,
boredom is healthy.
It's so healthy. We do not get bored very often. And so enjoy it. Once that boredom hits, magic happens. You find creativity. You can soul search a little bit. You're able to experience things in a way that you weren't before. So that element of boredom, or as I really like to call it, stillness or quietness, is just, it's really gorgeous. And I know that you've talked about that concept in surgery quite frequently of that stillness has saved lives. That stillness has saved your life. And I think that's a really cool concept to be able to grasp. And then second, that there's this idea of a physical meditation, that we step away from our mental work and we take a physical meditation, either through yoga or walking or exercise or whatever it might be. We occupy our bodies physically, release some of that mental focus, and then all of a sudden, again, that mental focus is so much stronger later. And sometimes we find a balance or creativity that happens in that moment. So two really great concepts that I loved from this book.
I mentioned it this morning, but I'm so excited to do book club as a community because in medicine, we want to provide the best care we can for our patients. And we need to be doing deep work as a community. Our morning rounds and our conference, which is this week, are examples, I think, of community-based deep work where we can dive into issues and come to better solutions as a community. And there's great satisfaction in that.
Right.
So to be studying valuable concepts and implementing them, not in an individual's life necessarily and exclusively, but as a medical community, I think is super exciting to me.
Powerful.
Like, just how cool is that?
Yeah.
And then I was reading in Clayton Christensen's Innovator's Prescription, and he talks about some of the problems. He's a brilliant MBA thinker, a Harvard business guy. He's since passed away, but his Innovator's Prescription book is great. He was kind of the founder of this concept of disruptive innovation. But he talks about how there's different business models in medicine and in business in general. There's a solution shop where you come in and you have a hard to solve problem and they help you solve it, like a consulting company.
Right.
Or maybe in medicine it would be, I almost think of like a neurologist. They're the ones that are the thinkers. They come in and they help identify some obscure problem that you have. There's a value-added process where somebody has just taken in a need and they can just do it super efficiently and super well. It's like your pool guy that comes over if I had a pool, I would have a pool guy, that just knows how to fix a pool. And they do it so well and so fast, you could never replicate that. In surgery, we probably are a value-added process in our clinic because we do surgeries extremely efficiently and well. And then there's a facilitated network. And it's really, really hard for any entity in medicine to be all three. Hospitals try to be all three, and that's one of the reasons hospital costs are so high and so hard to run. You really have to commit to one of them. Mm-hmm. Chronic diseases are best dealt with in a facilitated network. And I think that's what we have here. We have a solution shop in some of our providers. We have value-added processes in some of our clinics, which is probably where we lie. Mm-hmm. And then at the same time, we've created this facilitated network doing deep work that can help address prevention and management of chronic disease. Right. Because it doesn't fit well in other places. And that's so exciting to me, and to be able to do that deep work as a community to address and prevent chronic disease is maybe the way that we make a big difference. Right.
Claim that back a little bit. How many years has Rounds been going on now?
5.
And this is the 5th annual year for the Sundance Conference, right? And like you said, it's a time that we get away from our normal area of work. We come together as a community and we do a deep dive into problems or thoughts or solutions, and we're doing deep work as a community. And then we're getting away to the mountains once a year, and we do 4 hours, which research shows is about how much we can do per day of deep work. We do about 4 hours per day of deep work as a community. And then we go and enjoy the spaces around us, right? We take that physical meditation with each other, with ourselves. We have great food with each other. We relax, and then we get back to the deep work the next day, which is really, it's an incredible commitment to our community and to our patients. My biggest takeaway, and I want to know what your biggest takeaway from deep work was, but my biggest takeaway and what I'm going to do differently as an in my administrative role and also in my personal life is that busyness does not equal productivity. And I often confuse my productivity with my busyness. I make my to-do list so large. I make sure that I'm working 10 hours a day. I run around with my head cut off. I bounce from task to task. I make sure I talk to every single person on every single team, and I'm busy. And sometimes I look back on my day, and we always chat usually at the end of the day, and you said, how was your day? And I'm like, great. And I really have to think, but what did I do today? What did I really, truly, what is the best work that I got done today? And I need to remember that my busyness does not equal true quality work, right? And I need to refocus on not quantity work, but quality work, which I think is what we're really talking about as a whole here. How are we creating quality, not only for ourselves in our lives, but also our patients' lives? How are we creating quality over quantity? And I think that's one of the biggest takeaways for me after reading Deep Work. But what's your biggest Deep Work takeaway?
That's great. I think it's eliminating distraction, being present in the moment, and a constant focus on what matters most in that moment. Sometimes the deep work occurs because you are really present with your spouse. You're really listening, or with your 5-year-old, or with your newborn baby, in my case. Sometimes it's you're in an operation and nothing else matters. You bring the microscope in. The world doesn't exist anymore. And it doesn't. It really doesn't. I even tell them to turn the lights off every time, because the only thing that matters is what I'm doing in that moment. And then the other thing is there is significant satisfaction in it. We don't get a lot of satisfaction from busyness, just like we don't get a lot of satisfaction from junk food. We get satisfaction when we are focused in on the moment, seeking to add value in somebody else's life. And that's all we're focused on. And that is just a great way to be, and it can create a lot of joy just in the day-to-day.
Yeah, that true fulfillment. It's incredible. Well, thanks for suggesting deep work as our first book club.
Yeah,
it was
it's
incredible.
super fun. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Absolutely. Thank you.